Sadeghi, Rector of RAFA State Islamic University. Right now, with me is Professor Karim Sadeghi. He is a professor of applied linguistics from Urmia University in the northern part of Iran. And Professor Karim is also the founder and the editor-in-chief of Iranian Journal of Language Teaching Research, one of the journal which is indexed by Scopus. So, Professor Karim, first of all, I would like to welcome you to this campus of RAFA State Islamic University. Welcome, and then we would like to thank you for your participation as one of the speakers for International Conference of English Teaching Language. It was hosted by our institution during the last 3 days. So thank you, and first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself to the audience. Why and how have you been one of the top scholars in the area of applied linguistics and being invited to this conference?
Thank you very much, Professor Sadeghi, for your invitation and your great hospitality. I enjoyed being at this university. The conference had been organized at a very high level, and I would like to take this opportunity to extend my appreciation to the rector of RAFA University, as well as the chair of the conference, Ms. Leni Marzulina. Well, as a way of introduction, let me say that my name is Karim and my family name is Sadeghi. I work at Urmia University, located in Iran, in a city called Urmia in the northwest part of Iran. I've been working at that university for about 15 years. Now, you named me as a top scholar. That's very kind of you. I don't believe that I'm a top scholar, but I've done whatever I could to reach this level of scholarship. I would like to share with you a personal experience perhaps, which could indeed be a motivating story for your students at this university. Well, I come from a very poor family. I was born in a village very far from a central city, and the education in that village was modest, and I had to work during the summer or during the holiday season to be able to fund my courses and my studies during the academic year. I come from a large family. I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters. Well, we lived in a village, but we didn't have a farm, or we didn't have any other things to take care of. We work for others. I mean, people who work in a village work for themselves usually, but we work for others, and this way we had to fund our studies and find money for studies. I do remember that it was with great hardship that I could go to university. None of my brothers and sisters, unfortunately, could attend the university because they had to work. And as soon as I entered the university and I started majoring in English language teaching, then I read books by very famous people in our field, like Professor Jack Richards, Professor Rod Ellis, and I was thinking of myself, oh my God, would it be possible one day in the future for me to meet these people, to talk to to these people.
Big scholars.
Yeah, to get to know them in person and from a close place. And then this was always in my head. I mean, I set my goals very high, and this is my advice to students here, to set their goals very high. If you have a goal set very high at the very beginning, you may not reach the top, but you may approach a bit closer to that destination that you have. So I was thinking about how I could be in contact with these scholars when I was reading their books, their articles, and then it motivated me to work my way up. So I started very hard. I managed to do a BA in English language teaching, and then I did my MA studies again in ELT in Tehran University. Then I managed to get a scholarship from Iranian government to continue my studies in England at the University of East Anglia. And there again I managed to do a PhD in 2 years. Usually it takes at least 3 years, and some students do a PhD in 4 years, but I managed to do it in 3 years. Now when I returned to Iran, I got employed by Urmia University, and then again I had the same thinking how I could collaborate with these top scholars in the field. So I organized a conference like what you did in Urmia University, and I invited some of these top scholars to Urmia.
Okay.
I invited Professor Jackson Richards, Professor Rod Ellis. These are top names and big names in our field. And that was the start of a collaboration. Now, my dreams, those days, those school days, those childhood days have all come true. I have bilateral research collaborations with these top scholars. I write papers and articles with Jackson Richards. We have mutual publications in very top journals. Again, I have collaborations with Professor Rod Ellis, and we have mutual publications again in journals such as System. Or probably you could see in our last issue of the journal, I have had an interview with a very top person in our field, Stephen Krashen, who is the most cited scholar in our field. And these have been a dream once for me, but the point is that you should set goals for yourself, and you should work very hard in order to achieve those goals. So that's the way my collaboration started with international figures, and of course it has been very fruitful for me too, because when people see my name alongside Jackson Richards or alongside Rod Ellis, or as the founder and editor of a prestigious Scopus journal, well, they come to me for advice, and it makes me happy. I mean, I have worked very hard, but eventually I think the result is very fruitful, and that is what I wanted.
Yeah. So it was a long struggling with hard working. Yeah?
Sure.
So what actually make you dare to dream, to be part of this elite community of applied language, like applied linguistics?
Yeah, I think everybody would like to excel in something.
Okay.
Everybody would like to be among the tops.
Okay.
And as a child, I was thinking of doing something that would make me distinct from my classmates, from the people who lived in the same village as I did. So I had ambitions from very childhood. I wanted to do things very different from those around me. And because I knew that I had some academic talents, I had some academic capabilities, I thought this is the way in which I could move forward. Some people are better in arts, some people are better in sports, but I thought that it is my mind and my cognitive abilities which are distinct. So I invested in this area, and then it moved me to the place where I am today.
Professor Karim, as you know that the main theme of the conference was the internationalization of higher education. I would assume that this internationalization is still facing a lot of difficulties and trouble in many Muslim worlds, including in Iran and Indonesia. So first of all, how do you see the urgency of putting our institution into this internationalization process in this era of challenging and very competing higher education system in the world?
Yes, I think the world is now interpreted as a global village.
Okay.
So we are living in an area in which if we do not become part of this global village, will we be losers? And that's why we have to think about internationalization. We have to think about collaboration, especially Muslim countries can work together here because they have many similarities in terms of culture, in terms of tradition, in terms of their likes and dislikes. So I think internationalization among Muslim countries is of utmost interest because we can understand each other very well. We all start our speech with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we end it with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So we understand that we are part of the same culture.
Right.
We may speak different languages,
Okay.
we may belong to different geographical areas in the world, but we really belong to the same essence. We are all creatures of the same God, and our religion indeed is a motivation for our unity. One way which we can unite is approaching each other and making ourselves part of an international community rather than living in different islands. And here, English plays a very influential role. If it were not for the sake of English, we couldn't communicate here. You speak a very different language, I speak a very different language, Indonesian, Persian, or Azeri. But we want to get together, we want to get united, and I think here the role of English is very important. So we need to value the position of English learning and English teaching, and these conferences I think are very important in that they remind us about the neglected importance of English. And I think you, as the rector of this university, highlighted the importance of English in internationalization very well in your both opening speech and in your concluding remarks today and today's lecture.
Well, I totally agree that English will play a very important role in the internationalization. However, as we discussed during the conference, we have many difficulties, in introducing English as the language of the global era. So right now, in many Muslim countries, like including Indonesia, we have so many scholars who don't really care about their English proficiency, and then it makes them very difficult to develop their academic reputation. So, what is your suggestion, to the government or to university leaders like myself, in order to make English is really developed, in order to make our staff really care about the level of their English proficiency, so that they can live up their academic potential up to the international level.
Yeah, I think there are two issues here. One related to administrators,
Okay.
policymakers,
Okay.
ministers, and the directors of the country. Their thinking towards English should be changed. If policymakers of the country do not have the thinking that English is a good language, English is a positive language, English can help us advance and progress, nothing big can be done. So this thinking at the level of authorities of the country is very important, and I think we shouldn't look at English as the language of the enemy. Maybe
Yes.
Muslims sometimes
Yes.
have problems with Western countries like United States because we believe that, well, they don't want us to progress, they don't want us to improve our lives, so we sometimes look at them as our enemies. However, we know that in our religion, in our culture, our Prophet has said, "Utlubul ilma hatta bis-sin." If you would like to learn something, and if it means that you need to go to a foreign country, you need to go to a very remote place, I think that is worth doing it. So this thinking, this attitude, this change of attitude at the level of policymakers should be there. If policymakers are not positive towards English education, then at a level such as university we may not have many improvements. So that attitude, that positive attitude, should be enforced from the very top. At the university level, I mean at the level of the academicians, including teachers and students themselves, we need to have an internal desire. We can't do something unless we want to do it. And we need to indeed motivate our students to want to learn English. If students don't want to learn something, whatever technology we bring, wherever we bring professors from, whether they are natives, whether they are top scholars, nothing will change.
Yes.
So that attitude change is also needed to be created in one way or another among the students and among the staff themselves.
Okay.
And they should want to learn something, and there should be an internal desire. It is not something like, okay, the university rector will say, okay, English is good, so please learn it. They should want to learn it themselves, and if they don't understand the value of English in promoting them, in indeed securing their future career and progress, they won't have such a feeling.
Yeah. Well, with regard to the internationalization, the importance of internationalization, how do you see the future of partnership or cooperation between higher education institution in Iran and higher education institution in Indonesia?
Yeah, I'm very happy to say here that very recently Iranian government and the Ministry of Higher Education, which is also called Ministry of Research and Technology in Iran, has started a very fruitful initiation of collaboration with other universities. So very recently, several months now, indeed the Iranian Ministry of Higher Education has assigned every university to collaborate with some other foreign universities. And of course, every university has been given some names. For example, Urmia University collaborates with Latvia universities. And different universities have different responsibilities. They need to get into contact with universities within the framework of what we call Erasmus programs or Farabi programs or other mobilization programs. So it is very good to know here that in Iran this international collaboration has revived the status after a very long time when there was not such a feeling, and Iranian Ministry of Higher Education would now very much like to enter into international collaboration with other universities around the world, and the priority is with Muslim universities, and Indonesia sure is one of the members of this list. But we need to see which university in Iran has been assigned to get into collaboration with Indonesia, and I think now that the lights are green from an Iranian part, we need to come and see whether the lights are also green from the Indonesian part. And what I mean is that this bilateral collaboration should be welcomed by both parties.
Yes.
Iranian party is now open for collaboration.
Yeah.
There is a huge amount of interest and investment in this area because this bilateral collaboration helps everybody. It is a kind of win-win program. They win and you win too. So from the part of the Iranian government, the road is open, the window is open, The prospectus is there, but we need to look at the Indonesian part and see whether there is such a potential, such a readiness, such an interest to enter into this collaboration or not.
Well, last but not least, in the light of the similarities and differences between Iran and Indonesia, could you please mention 1, 2, 3, or 4 areas where these two countries, especially the higher education institution, need to really collaborate in order to bring benefits to people in both countries?
Yeah, in terms of, I mean, generally speaking, in terms of culture, as I said at the beginning of my introduction, fortunately we share the same Islamic culture. It makes our communication very easy. We are relaxed talking with each other.
Yes.
I'm very relaxed when I am in an Islamic country because I think I have security here.
Yes.
And people share the same culture. We can understand each other very easily. In terms of academic similarities and differences, I may highlight 1 or 2 things that I could learn during a conference because I do not have prior familiarity with your education system. Now, I could see that everybody, I mean, your students were very motivated to participate. There was good discipline, good organization, and Iranians could learn something from them. However, the people here, the students here, seem to be easygoing a bit. I mean, all the lecture sessions were like partying sessions. I mean, if we could, for example, have breaks, times allocated for breaks among the sessions, that could help the organization, that could help the discipline a bit more. And I think here Indonesian students and Indonesian staff members can learn from Islamic academic culture, but from the perspective of starting, for example, the sessions on time, when you are greeting people, they greet back to you. The amount of respect students have to their professors, to the deans, to the rector. Iranian students and Iranian academics can learn things from here. So I don't know a lot about your academic culture to be able to talk more about the differences and similarities, but over these last 3 years I have learned some of the things which I could compare, and I hope indeed we will learn something from you, you will learn something from us. But in terms of academic endeavors, I think Iranian scholars are very hardworking in terms of their journal editorship, for example, programs. They know some ways to be able to go up the ladder in terms of indexing their journals in such famous indexes such as Scopus, such as ISI, and we, including I myself, have good experience in this regard.
How many journals in Iran are indexed by Scopus, right?
Well, it depends on different disciplines.
Okay.
For example, in my discipline, in the discipline of English language teaching and language studies, only 3 journals are indexed. And again, that is limited.
Yes.
That is limited, very low in number. But in disciplines such as medicine and sciences, we have a good number of journals indexed.
Right.
And I think here, editors from Malaysia can ask for help, can ask for advice, and of course Iranians will be happy to help here. As myself, I have told Ms. Lenny that I will do everything to get her journal indexed in Scopus, inshallah, and that can be the start of collaboration. But we know our weaknesses and our problems better. I mean, if Lenny comes to me and says that, okay, we have a problem here, we have a weakness here, how can we improve this problem, how can we get rid of this weakness, then I'll be able to provide better advice.
Okay, before ending this interview, could you please give your closing remark to our students and our lecturers?
Yes, at the end of this interview, I would like to ask students here to respect their teachers. Of course,
Right.
they are doing that very well.
Yeah.
But respecting a teacher simply is not trying to shake hands with him or with her, kissing his hands.
Yes.
Respecting a teacher means studying very well.
All right.
A teacher becomes happy when he sees that his students are progressing very well. And if this is done properly by students, teachers will get motivated. Students' progress, students' achievements
Yes.
will be a very good prize for teachers, and teachers will get motivated. Motivated teachers will train students better. So this bilateral relationship
Yes.
between students and teachers will be a key to everybody's success. And if students are successful, if teachers work well with motivation, the rector of the university will be happy, so the system will go ahead together.
Well, very good advice to our student. I hope our student, will listen carefully to your advice and try to apply them in their daily lives on
Inshallah.
and off campus. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me
for the
again.
interview. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time
I
in
did.
Palembang, and then have a safe and enjoyable flight back to
Thank
Iran.
you, thank you. I've
very
enjoyed my
much.
time here until here. I would like to thank you again for the hospitality,
Yes.
for the invitation, and for funding my trip. And I hope to meet you again either in Iran or probably I come back to
Inshallah.
Indonesia one day future.
Inshallah.
Thank you very
Amin.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all our interview with Professor Karim Sadeghi from Iran. I hope all the information, the ideas and advices that he said in the interview will be beneficial and helpful for our students and our staff in order to develop their academic career. That's all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.